Hi, this is Michael William Denny of ThunderShamanism.com, and today we are going to talk about another part of the book, The Thunder Wizard Path. And today I'm going to go over two of the chapters, and the chapters are called The Odinic Wizard, and the other one is The Three Selves of Odin. And if you're not familiar with so far talking about this book, The Thunder Wizard Path, go ahead and watch the previous videos. But what I do is I'm not going to go over exactly what's in the chapters. I'm going to give you an overview, and I'm going to give you some some new understandings that I have connected to this, because it's been a while since I wrote this book. So anyway, and of course, if you're not familiar with my work, click on ThunderShamanism.com, and you can see all the books and DVDs and all kinds of other things that I teach. So the Odinic Wizard. Odin is, in the Germanic tradition, is probably one of the few aspects of pre-Christian Germanic spirituality that is unique to the Germanic tribes. Now, that isn't to say that he doesn't have contemporaries in other disciplines. For instance, in Hinduism, they have the god Shiva. So Shiva would be the closest connection. In fact, they share the same name, interestingly enough. One of the names for Shiva is Ugra. And that is the same root word where we get the word ugly in English. And that is one of the names of Odin, which is Ug. In fact, his steed is called Yggdrasil, which means Yg's or Ug's mount, Ug's horse. So Ug and Ugra both mean the same thing. They mean terrifying. So nowadays the word ugly, Ugliche, ug-like, that used to mean terrifying. But now we mean it to refer to somebody who's not attractive, which used to be plain. If a person was plain looking, that meant that they weren't very attractive. But now we just call them ugly. But in reality, ugly means terrifying. So the reason why that's important is because Odin is a terrifying deity, and he's terrifying because of his intensity. Odin is pure total awareness, pure total commitment. And this is why shamans are connected with Odin. The word wod actually means to be in a shamanic frenzy. And that's a terrifying thing to experience, to see somebody who's completely, totally absorbed with awareness, like full, complete awareness. Again, this is the difference between traditional understandings of shamanism and awareness and consciousness and enlightenment, as opposed to the modern New Age version. The modern New Age version is just so boring. It's somebody has no problems and is just full of peace and love and has no feelings. And I have to tell you, that's just pure denial. Listen, I have nothing against people feeling at peace, and there certainly is an aspect where you can achieve that. But, the books that we have written by so-called enlightened masters who talk about not having any feelings, that's just denial. And we have that denial because we're afraid of our feelings. Modern Western society, unless you're just happy all the time, you're not spiritual. If you walk outside of a church and the person that's trying to get you in the church is, "Hi, welcome to our church. Praise the Lord, come on in." It makes you crazy when you deny all of your feelings, pretending everything's wonderful all the time. Well, our ancestors didn't do that. They didn't make distinctions between evil wizards and good wizards. They were just wizards. Some of them were really powerful, and some of them were scary, and some of them were evil, and some of them were good. This idea of enlightenment and this connection to awareness, didn't have that same stigma attached to it. So Odin is a frightening deity. And this is what makes him frightening. He's just pure awareness. And that's frightening to us because if we were to get into full awareness, that would mean we would be literally torn to shreds. All of our attachments and our illusions, the things that we like, our denial, would just be torn to shreds. So he's frightening to us. So this is Odin. he who is consumed with the fire of self-awareness. And so the Odinic wizard is somebody who takes full, complete responsibility for their existence. Here's what it means to follow Odin. If you follow Odin, it means that you take full responsibility for your life. That means everything in your life is your creation. Odin is a deity who is self-evolved. Nothing created him. In fact, if we look at the myths in some of the instances correctly, he may have not even existed when the first gods came into existence. He may be a later god that rose through prominence. He has a strong connection with the dwarves. And in fact, in one of the myths, he's called a dwarf. And a dwarf is emotion that is taking conscious awareness, is evolving into conscious awareness. That's what makes us human. We have a dwarf nature, which is our emotions. And the struggle of being human is to bring conscious awareness to those emotions, to harness them, and then to use them to create our lives. Odin mastered this, which is why he's so passionate and so intense. He's full of emotion, but he's mastered it. And because of that, he creates his entire existence. And so to follow Odin means that you understand that. There's no such thing as being a victim of circumstance. You know, you can talk about karma or orlog all you want, which is just simply the consequences of your actions. That's all it is. You know, that's all karma is. You think or do something and you have to deal with those consequences. You know, we talk about weird and, you know, that's a whole other subject, but that's all weird is too. You know, the future is nothing more than the consequences of your actions, which are in the past. And each present moment, we're weaving new creations with that. And so Odin is the master of that. So that means that if you're healthy, if you're sick, that means whatever disease that you may have, if you've got an illness, guess what? You created it. And so that means if you believe that you know, you have the power to control your destiny, that means that you have the power to heal yourself. And so this is what the shaman does. You know, I'll tell you a secret about shamans. Shamans never heal anybody. Nope. Shaman does not heal anybody. A shaman creates an environment where the person can heal themselves. And maybe that means to do something that seems magical to the patient, and the patient believes that the person is healing them. Sometimes a shaman will let the person think that they're doing it, even if you're putting energy into the person. But it doesn't matter. You can dump tons of magical energy into a person, and if they're not ready to heal themselves, it won't take. You can't force anything onto anybody. They have to do it themselves. Same is true for you. So, the Odinic, the three selves, I'll get into that. The three selves of Odin. The great thing about Odin is that he represents something that is found in literally all traditions. Listen, the word God means Odin. Gwod. Gwoden. That's where the word God comes from. Our ancestors couldn't get rid of Odin as the king of the gods. And so, and to talk about Jehovah, they just called him Odin. Gwod. God. So every time a Christian says the word God, guess who they're praying to? They're praying to Odin, whether they realize it or not. Sorry about that. But that's the power that Odin has. So the three selves of Odin are found in multiple traditions. In Christianity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Again, that's not in the Bible. The Trinity is not in the Bible. That was imposed upon the Bible because why? Because the ancestral religions of Europe had a three-self system, you know, that were made up of a trinity. The Celts had it, the Germanics had it, the Hindus have it. You have Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. In the Taoist religion, the Chinese have it. They have the three ones, which live in the three areas of the body. In modern times, we have mind, body, and spirit. Same thing. You can't get away from this. This is the three selves of Odin. Odin, Vili, and Ve. Woden, Will, and Weoh. And so Odin is connected with the third eye. It means complete, total awareness. Woden, full of awareness. Wod. You have will. That's your navel center, your willpower, your gut. That's why people say I have a gut feeling. That guy has a lot of guts. It's because that's where your will is. Your willpower is in your navel center. People who have weak navels energetically don't have willpower. So you gain strength. This is why we focus on the navel. This is why martial arts operates from the navel. This is why singing, everything operates from the navel. The willpower doesn't come from nowhere. And then you have whale, ve, and that's a word that's has been discarded from our modern language. Will is the only one of the three that has remained. But before, wod was something that people had, will was something that people had, and ve was something that people had. And ve, it means sacred space. It comes from the same root word that Vishnu comes from. Same thing, the heart center. Vishnu is he who creates the space and protects the universe by creating this sacred space. And that sacred space is in your heart, where your soul resides, your soul. Your soul resides here in the ve, the temple of your body is right here. And it creates sacred space. Same word, village. The V in village comes from the same thing, sacred space. Creating a space for people to live. So anyway, so those are some things that are maybe I do or don't mention, because that was a long time ago I wrote the book, but that's the Odinic Wizard and the Three Selves of Odin. So again, as always, I'm hammering away at things practical, because it's great for me to sit here and talk. It's great for me to write all these books, and I know a lot of people love to read and get lost in the intellectualization of all this, but you need to have actual practical things that give you power. So I'm sharing with you two of the most powerful ways that I know of. The first one is celestial qigong. It's the most powerful energy practice that I can give safely by video, and there are people who have done this who have told me that they've done the practice and they've communicated with the higher beings. And I know that scares you. Don't worry about it. It doesn't have to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm only telling you what people have told me. I believe that this information was channeled to me, and it's a very user-friendly energy practice that anybody can do. Most of the times when you get to this level of energy work, you have to work with a teacher. You can hurt yourself. So that's the most powerful thing I know of that you can do without working with a teacher, if you want to just get those DVDs. Second most powerful thing I can recommend is to work with me one-on-one, what I call apprenticeship. Just simply means that you work with me 1 hour a week and you commit to 1 month at a time. People keep asking me, there's a link. Go to the link. The link will tell you, how to get started, how to subscribe. You can also just call me on the phone. If you want to ask me some questions, I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes and answer whatever questions you have if you just need to talk to me and make sure I'm a real person. But there is something that can only happen in the one-on-one. And, no amount of books or DVDs are going to change that. The transfer of energy from teacher to student can only happen with personal interaction, which works over the phone, Skype, or in person. And eventually I'm looking for people who have the ability to learn everything I have to teach, because as I've talked about before, this is something that I'm driven to do. I have to do this. It's my karma. So click on those, and until next time, my friends, that's all for now.